And one of the ways that shows up is the way a narcissistic relationship works is if the narcissistic person almost like just sort of overtakes them, almost like a parasite. And one of the ways that shows up is the person feels silenced. There's no communication. There's no working it through. There's no sharing your point of view. All of those pathways get silenced. And so over time, if that happens enough years, they shut down. Well, here's the problem with shutting down. I want you to think of it as like a dam. Right? And the dam has like a grate on it that keeps all the junk, the garbage in the water from being released. And all that garbage backs up like a log jam. If we do not express ourselves, all that backed up stuff makes us sick. Physically ill, psychologically ill. So people will be walking around the world saying, but no, we're not getting into fights anymore. And I just do what they say. And my house is well ordered. And I have a job or I have a family, whatever it is. Right? So they feel like they're on top of it. But I don't understand why I'm getting sick. And I don't understand why I'm having trouble sleeping, and I don't understand why I have these headaches, and I sort of don't even feel like I'm in my body anymore. Well, it's because you're dissociated. In essence, what you've done is you have to silence yourself. When you have to give up on yourself to maintain something in your life, there is an opportunity cost, and that opportunity cost is your physical and mental health.
The physical toll that living with a narcissist can take on your body is really something that you're not able to wrap your mind around until you start listening to other people talk about the physical toll of living with such a person. I know it depleted me, living with his constant chaos. And in terms of speaking about my health, for the last 4 or 5 years, I attributed my declining health to external causes. I blamed COVID. I blamed the mold toxicity after our home was completely flooded during a hurricane, and we couldn't get it remediated in time before the mold started occurring, and I got really, really ill. I almost died, and eventually I got diagnosed with Lyme disease and co-infections, so I was battling all of that. And while all those things were real and they were serious enough to where my doctors were telling me that if I don't detox and do something soon, I am going to die, I'm coming to terms now with how my body was already compromised long before any of that happened, long before COVID, long before I found out I had Lyme disease and it was quote-unquote reactivated. Nobody really knows how I got Lyme disease, but anyways, I was living under chronic stress for years. I was disassociated. I know I was experiencing cognitive dissonance. Back then, I didn't know that. I was silenced emotionally and psychologically. I knew something was wrong. I knew I could not be myself around the narcissist. For a very long time, even before we got married, I was not allowed to fully express myself. He stopped me. And no, I am not going to play his words in my head when I say that he stopped me. I am not saying that I'm the victim. Not at all. My pain, my fear, my reality, none of it had a safe place to go, and that is the truth. And I know that when emotional pain has nowhere to go, it doesn't disappear. It shows up inside the body. And day after day, month after month, year after year, I lived in this chaos. God, he was Mr. Drama, I'm telling you. It was one thing after another. And the anxiety was constant. My hypervigilance, it was considered normal. I normalized all that. My nervous system was shot. I never had a chance to rest. And I'm not blaming his, I don't know what to call it, bodily functions of snoring. There was many years where he would not allow me to rest or sleep because we shared the same room, and oftentimes I would have to sleep on the couch or in one of the other rooms. And my nervous system was really stuck in survival mode for years, and my immune system paid the price. So when COVID did come around, my body was already depleted. I was working full-time, and on top of COVID, I had the stress of my job. I couldn't work for about 6 weeks because I didn't know what was happening to me during COVID. I couldn't breathe, and I had some major back pain, and it was my lungs. I wasn't able to get enough oxygen into my red blood cells, so I had major air hunger, and not being able to breathe, you feel like you're dying, and not being able to get a diagnosis, and people saying it was just asthma. It wasn't just asthma. It was my body being depleted of the red blood cells, and I almost lost my life. I can't tell you how many times I went to the ER, how many times I was on steroids. It really fucked up my body. I was overwhelmed. And then on top of that, the mold exposure happening after Hurricane Ian demolished our house. My immune system was so overwhelmed. I don't even want to get into what happened. Yeah, a lot of breathing issues for months on end. I caught COVID again. And it was a huge disaster. Within 2 years, I had COVID and mold. We had to move out of our house, and it was a lot of chronic stress. It was the worst time of my life. My animals were dying, and I truly believe it was the toxins after the hurricane, and the toxins were everywhere, and due to the water, and trying to stay on topic here, it was when my Lyme disease was actually diagnosed, whether it was triggered by COVID, mold, or the chronic stress. My body didn't have the reserves to fight the way it should have. And again, I will repeat this. I almost lost my life. There was one night where I thought I would not wake up, and I remember telling my ex, "Look how low my heart rate is." I thought he would jump out of bed and want to take me to the ER. He didn't do anything. And I was so dizzy, and I was so depleted of my energy, and I just wanted to sleep. And I couldn't breathe. That's the only thing that wasn't allowing me to sleep. I couldn't catch my breath. And I told him to tell my kids I love them and be good to them if I don't wake up. That was a clear sign that I was not in the right state of mind. I couldn't even care for myself. And I'm not standing here blaming my ex for my illness. That's not what I'm doing. This is not what it's about. What I'm saying is the parasitic, emotionally abusive behavior does not exist in a vacuum. It weakened the environment of my body, and I had no immune system to survive what I went through, and I probably should have succumbed to what I went through. I truly feel like if I had known what was happening to me with the red blood cells and, having Lyme disease, I would have healed faster, but it took me years to be diagnosed. So at that time, where I was having a hard time breathing, and I was heavily relying on my ex for, to carry the family, the financial support, because I lost my job, he was still acting indifferent to me. That's not to say that I didn't appreciate him working. I still managed to carry on the household, even in the bad situation, the health crisis I was in. Sometimes I think about, had I been in a healthy relationship, one with emotional safety, support, and stability, I truly believe that my immune system may have had a fighting chance. I may have recovered faster, and I may not have become as sick as I did. Chronic emotional stress is not just stress. It fucked up my hormones completely. It suppressed my immunity, and it kept my body in a constant state of emergency. And I don't know how I'm still here. I really don't. I know that our bodies are not designed to live like that with all that exposure, the toxins, and all of that. This is just a huge wake-up call. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because I'm learning about it as I go. And I'm sharing my experience. If you are living in a relationship where you are feeling silenced, anxious, confused, and emotionally or physically unsafe, it's your body keeping the score. And yes, I downloaded that book, Your Body Keeps the Score. And I have not finished it yet, but I'm excited to read it. So if you're like me and you don't see it while you're going through it, well, I hope you will see it one day for what it is. Leaving isn't just about peace of mind. Sometimes leaving, it's about your very survival. And that's what it is. I'm not trying to be corny, I'm not trying to be dramatic. It's the goddamn truth. It's about life and death. This is about your survival.